A school janitor making $9 an hour saw a gunman about to shoot his son's favorite teacher. Jack threw himself in front of the bullet and nearly died, saving her life. When he woke up in the hospital, the principal was standing there with his termination letter. His heroism had cost him everything. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. Jack Miller mopped the floors of Lincoln Elementary School at 6 a.m. every morning. His hands were rough from years of cleaning, but his heart was soft for his 8-year-old son Tommy. Tommy was everything to Jack. After his wife died in a factory accident 2 years ago, Jack had to raise Tommy alone. The insurance money was gone. Medical bills had eaten everything. Jack worked as the school janitor because the hours let him be home when Tommy got back from school. The pay was low, but it was steady. Tommy needed stability. "Dad, why do you work at my school?" Tommy asked one morning over breakfast. "So I can see you during the day." Jack smiled, handing Tommy his lunch bag. "And someone has to keep your school clean." Tommy hugged his dad tight. "The kids say janitors aren't important." Jack's heart broke a little. "Tommy, every job that helps people is important. Never forget that." At school, Jack was invisible to most people. Teachers walked past him like he wasn't there. Parents complained if he cleaned too early or too late. Only a few people treated him with respect. One of those people was Miss Sarah Chen, Tommy's third-grade teacher. Sarah Chen was different from other teachers. She always said good morning to Jack. She asked about Tommy. She even helped Jack understand Tommy's homework when he struggled. "Tommy is doing much better in reading," Miss Chen told Jack one afternoon. "You're doing a great job helping him at home." Jack felt proud. "I try my best. School was hard for me, but I want Tommy to succeed." "He will. He has a good father." Miss Chen was 28, single, and dedicated to her students. She stayed late to help struggling kids. She bought supplies with her own money. She made every child feel special. The other teachers thought she was too soft. Principal Hayes thought she was too involved with families. But Jack saw her heart. "Miss Chen really cares about us," Tommy said one evening. "She's teaching me to read big words." Jack was grateful. In a world where people looked down on him, Miss Chen saw his worth. But not everyone at Lincoln Elementary was kind. Principal Margaret Hayes ran Lincoln Elementary like a business. She cared more about test scores than children. She cared more about image than people. Hayes looked down on Jack from day one. She complained about his cleaning. She criticized his uniform. She made him feel small every chance she got. "Miller, the bathrooms weren't clean enough yesterday," she said coldly one Monday morning. "I cleaned them twice, ma'am." "Which bathroom had a problem?" "Just do better," she snapped and walked away. Jack bit his tongue. He needed this job. Hayes especially disliked how Miss Chen treated Jack with respect. She thought it was unprofessional. "Sarah, you're too friendly with the custodial staff," Hayes warned Miss Chen during a meeting. "Jack is Tommy Miller's father and a good man. I treat everyone with respect. It looks bad. Parents might think we're not serious about standards." Miss Chen stood her ground. "My standards include treating people with dignity." Hayes made a mental note. Miss Chen was becoming a problem too. The tension at Lincoln Elementary was growing, but no one could predict what was coming. Marcus Rivera had been fired from his construction job 3 months ago. His wife left him. His kids wouldn't talk to him. He blamed everyone but himself. Marcus started drinking heavily. His anger grew darker each day. He needed someone to blame for his failures. He remembered his daughter's teacher from years ago, Miss Chen. She had called social services when she saw bruises on his daughter. That call had started his divorce, his drinking, his downward spiral. In Marcus's twisted mind, Miss Chen had destroyed his life. He began watching the school, learning the schedule. He saw Miss Chen arrive early and leave late. He saw her kindness to students and felt rage. "She thinks she's so perfect," he muttered, drinking in his car outside the school. "She ruined my family." Marcus bought a gun from a friend. He made a plan. On a cold Tuesday morning in November, Marcus walked into Lincoln Elementary with murder in his heart. It was 7:30 a.m. Most teachers hadn't arrived yet. Jack was cleaning the hallway near Miss Chen's classroom when he heard her scream. He dropped his mop and ran toward the sound. Through the classroom window, Jack saw a large man pointing a gun at Miss Chen. She was backed against the whiteboard, tears streaming down her face. "You destroyed my life," Marcus shouted. "My daughter won't talk to me because of you." Please, I was just trying to protect her, Miss Chen said, her voice shaking. She was my daughter. Jack's mind raced. The main office was too far away. Security wouldn't arrive in time. Miss Chen was about to die. Without thinking, Jack burst through the classroom door. Hey, leave her alone. Marcus spun around, surprised. Get out of here, janitor! I can't do that, Jack said, walking slowly toward Marcus. You don't want to hurt her. She's a good person. She's a homewrecker. She broke up my family. Jack kept moving closer, his hands raised. I know you're hurting, but this won't fix anything. Stay back. Marcus waved the gun between Jack and Miss Chen. My son is in her class. She's the best teacher he's ever had. She helps kids who need help. That's what she was doing for your daughter. Shut up. You don't know anything. But Jack could see doubt creeping into Marcus's eyes. Please, Jack said softly. I lost my wife 2 years ago. I know how pain can make you do crazy things, but hurting Miss Chen won't bring your family back. Marcus was crying now, the gun shaking in his hands. She took everything from me. No, she didn't. She was protecting your little girl. That's her job. That's what teachers do. For a moment, Jack thought he was getting through. Marcus lowered the gun slightly. Then rage flashed in Marcus's eyes again. He raised the gun toward Miss Chen. She has to pay. Jack saw Marcus's finger tighten on the trigger. Miss Chen closed her eyes, preparing to die. In that moment, Jack made a choice that would change everything. He lunged forward, throwing himself between the gun and Miss Chen. The bullet hit Jack in the chest, spinning him around. He crashed into desks, blood spreading across his janitor's uniform. Marcus stared in shock. He hadn't expected this. You idiot. Why did you do that? Jack was on the ground, struggling to breathe. But he was still between Marcus and Miss Chen because she matters, Jack whispered. She helps children. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called 911. Marcus panicked and ran, leaving his gun behind. Miss Chen knelt beside Jack, pressing her hands against his chest wound. Stay with me, Jack. Help is coming. Take care. Of Tommy, Jack whispered. Tell him. His dad tried. To do good. You did do good. You saved my life. Jack's eyes fluttered closed as paramedics rushed in. Jack survived the surgery, but barely. The bullet had missed his heart by inches but damaged his lung. He would live, but recovery would take months. Tommy sat beside his father's hospital bed, holding his hand. Miss Chen was there too, tears in her eyes. Is my dad a hero? Tommy asked. The biggest hero I know, Miss Chen said. He saved my life. News of Jack's heroism spread quickly. Local TV stations covered the story. Janitor saves teacher's life was the headline. Parents who had ignored Jack suddenly wanted to shake his hand. Teachers who had overlooked him called him a hero, but Principal Hayes was worried about something else. The school's reputation. Principal Hayes paced her office, talking on the phone with the school district's lawyer. A shooting at our school is bad publicity, she said. Parents are asking questions about security. What's your concern? The lawyer asked. The janitor. Jack Miller. He's getting all this attention, but he also put the school at risk. What if his actions had made things worse? How so? Hayes was grasping for justification. He confronted an armed man instead of following protocol. He should have called security first. His reckless behavior could have gotten more people killed. The lawyer was quiet. That's a stretch, Margaret. Is it? What if parents think we can't control our staff? What if they think our security procedures are weak? What are you suggesting? Hayes had made up her mind. I'm suggesting Jack Miller is a liability. His actions, however well-intentioned, showed poor judgment. I can't have employees who don't follow proper procedures. The lawyer sighed. Margaret, the man took a bullet to save a teacher. Firing him would be a public relations nightmare. Not if we frame it correctly. Failure to follow emergency protocols. Unauthorized engagement with a dangerous individual. We have grounds. 3 days after the shooting, Hayes visited Jack in the hospital. She brought flowers and a fake smile. Jack, how are you feeling? Better, thank you. Looking forward to getting back to work. Hayes' smile faded. Actually, that's what I need to discuss with you. Miss Chen, who was visiting, sensed something wrong. The school board and I have reviewed the incident. Hayes continued. While we appreciate your intentions, we have concerns about your actions. Jack was confused. Ma'am, you violated emergency protocol. When faced with a dangerous situation, staff are required to immediately contact security and evacuate. You chose to engage the gunman directly. I saved Miss Chen's life, Jack said quietly. Perhaps. But you also put yourself and potentially others at risk. What if your actions had escalated the situation? What if the gunman had started shooting randomly? Miss Chen stood up, angry. That's ridiculous. Jack is a hero. Miss Chen, please. This is between Mr. Miller and administration. Hayes pulled out an official document. Jack, I'm sorry, but we have to let you go. Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. The room was silent except for the beeping of medical machines. You're firing me? Jack whispered. For saving her life? For violating safety protocols and showing poor judgment in a crisis situation? Tommy, who had been quietly listening, started crying. My dad is a hero. You can't fire heroes. Hayes ignored the boy. Your final paycheck will include unused sick days. Hospital bills should be covered by workman's compensation since this happened during work hours. She left the flowers and walked out. Jack stared at the ceiling, tears rolling down his face. He had taken a bullet to save someone's life, and his reward was unemployment. Word of Jack's firing spread like wildfire. By evening, local news crews were outside the hospital. The janitor who took a bullet to save a teacher's life has been fired, the reporter announced. Lincoln Elementary's principal cited violation of safety protocols as the reason. The community exploded with anger. Miss Chen called the news station. Jack Miller is the bravest man I know. Firing him is disgraceful. Parents started an online petition demanding Hayes' resignation. Within 24 hours, it had 5,000 signatures. Tommy's classmates were confused and upset. How could their hero dad be fired for being a hero? It's not fair, Tommy cried that night. You saved Miss Chen. Jack held his son, trying to hide his own tears. Sometimes life isn't fair, buddy, but we keep trying to do what's right. Are we going to be okay? Jack didn't know. Without his job, they couldn't pay rent. They had no savings. His medical bills would be enormous. But he looked at his son and lied. We'll be fine. Daddy will figure something out. The next morning at Lincoln Elementary, something unprecedented happened. Tommy Miller stood up in Miss Chen's class and made an announcement. My dad got fired for saving Miss Chen. That's not right. We need to help him. 8-year-old voices rose in agreement. My mom says your dad is a hero, said Katie. Heroes shouldn't get fired, added Marcus. Miss Chen tried to maintain order, but her heart was breaking too. During recess, the third graders held a meeting by the swings. We need to protest, Tommy said. Like on TV when people hold signs. But we're just kids, worried Jessica. Kids can protest too, Tommy replied. My dad always says standing up for what's right is important. They made a plan. The next morning, instead of going to their classrooms, all of Miss Chen's students sat down in the hallway outside Principal Hayes' office. They held handmade signs. Bring back Mr. Jack. Heroes don't get fired. Our janitor is a hero. Principal Hayes is mean. When Hayes arrived at 7:45 a.m., she found 23 8-year-olds sitting peacefully in protest. What is this? She demanded. We're not going to class until you give Tommy's dad his job back, Katie said bravely. Other students walking to class saw the protest and stopped. Word spread quickly. By 8 a.m., students from other grades had joined the sit-in. By 8:30, parents started arriving. News crews arrived as the protest grew. Elementary school students rarely make political statements, but this was different. Why are you protesting? A reporter asked 10-year-old Maria. Because Mr. Jack is nice to everyone and he saved Miss Chen's life. It's not fair that he got fired. Parents began calling in sick to work so they could support the children's protest. These kids understand right and wrong better than the adults in charge, said Tommy's friends. Mother Hayes locked herself in her office. Refusing to come out, she called the district superintendent. Sir, we have a situation. The students are protesting in the hallways. Protesting what? The janitor I had to fire. The one from the shooting. There was a long pause. Margaret, you fired the man who took a bullet to save a teacher? He violated protocol. I don't care about protocol. He's a hero. Fix this immediately or you're next. The superintendent hung up. By noon, the protest had grown to over 200 people. Local politicians arrived to show support. The mayor called for Hayes' resignation. The story went national that evening. Elementary students' protest firing of hero janitor was covered by every major news network. Jack watched from his hospital bed, amazed. His son had organized a movement. Dad, look. We're on TV. Tommy pointed excitedly at the screen. A reporter was interviewing Miss Chen outside the school. "Jack Miller risked his life to save mine," she said. "Any school would be lucky to have someone with his character and courage." This firing is a disgrace. Social media exploded with support for Jack. Justice for Jack trended nationally. Donations started pouring in for his family. Hayes tried to defend her decision on television, but came across as cold and heartless. "Mr. Miller made a split-second decision that violated established safety protocols," she said. Stiffly, the interviewer wasn't buying it. "He saved a teacher's life. Isn't that more important than paperwork? Procedures exist for everyone's safety, including the safety of teachers being threatened by gunmen." Hayes had no good answer. By the third day of protests, Lincoln Elementary was effectively shut down. Most students refused to attend classes in solidarity with Tommy and his father. The school district called an emergency meeting. Parents packed the auditorium, demanding answers. "Principal Hayes' decision to fire Jack Miller is morally wrong," said parent after parent. "This man took a bullet to protect our children's teacher. If we don't protect heroes, who will protect our kids?" The school board looked uncomfortable. Board President Williams finally spoke. "The district will review Principal Hayes' decision regarding Mr. Miller's employment." "Review?" shouted a parent. "What's to review? Give the hero his job back." The crowd erupted in cheers. Williams banged his gavel. "We'll have a decision within 48 hours. That night, investigative reporter Linda Martinez dug deeper into Principal Hayes' background. What she found was shocking. Hayes had a pattern of treating support staff poorly. 3 janitors had quit in the past 2 years, citing her hostile treatment. She had also clashed with several teachers who she felt were too close to working-class families. More damaging, Martinez discovered Hayes had received a bonus for cost-cutting measures, which included reducing custodial staff and cutting their benefits. Hayes had financial incentive to get rid of Jack Miller, Martinez reported. His heroism gave her the excuse she needed. The report aired on the evening news. Public outrage reached a boiling point. On Friday morning, something beautiful happened at Lincoln Elementary. Students from all grades, not just Tommy's class, showed up wearing blue shirts, Jack's favorite color, and carrying flowers. They marched silently to the hospital where Jack was recovering. Tommy led the procession, carrying a giant card signed by every student in the school. "Thank you for being our hero." Jack was overwhelmed when he saw 400 children outside his hospital window, holding signs and flowers. "They came for you, Dad," Tommy whispered, tears in his eyes. The image of hundreds of children honoring their hero janitor was broadcast around the world. That afternoon, Superintendent Johnson held a press conference. After thorough review, the district has concluded that Principal Hayes' decision to terminate Mr. Jack Miller was wrong and is hereby reversed. Cheers erupted from the crowd of parents and students. Furthermore, Principal Hayes has been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation into her conduct. More cheers. "Mr. Miller, when you're ready to return to work, Lincoln Elementary and the entire district would be honored to have you back." 2 months later, Jack returned to Lincoln Elementary, but everything had changed. The students greeted him like a returning war hero. Teachers who had ignored him before now treated him with deep respect. "Welcome back, Mr. Jack," his young fans called out as he walked the halls. Jack was different too. Taking that bullet had shown him his own courage. The community's support had shown him his worth. "Dad, everyone knows you're a hero now," Tommy said proudly. "I was always the same person, buddy. Sometimes it just takes something big for people to notice." Miss Chen gave him the biggest hug when she saw him. "Thank you," she whispered. "Not just for saving me, but for showing everyone what real courage looks like." The district hired a new principal, Dr. James Washington, a man who believed in treating everyone with dignity. His first act was calling Jack to his office. "Mr. Miller, I want to personally thank you for what you did. This school is lucky to have you." "Thank you, sir. I'm just glad to be back. I'm creating a new position, Director of Campus Safety and Community Relations. It comes with a significant pay raise and the authority to improve our safety procedures." "Interested?" Jack was stunned. "Sir, I'm just a janitor." "No, you're the man who proved that heroism comes from character, not titles. You're exactly who we need in this role." For the first time in years, Jack felt truly valued. 1 year later, Jack spoke at the school safety training seminar. Real security doesn't come from protocols or cameras, he told the audience of teachers and staff. It comes from people who care about each other. The Jack Miller Safety Initiative had been implemented district-wide, emphasizing that every staff member, from janitors to principals, had a responsibility to protect students. Miss Chen had been promoted to vice principal. In her speech accepting the position, she said, "Jack Miller taught me that heroism isn't about your job title. It's about your heart." Tommy, now in 4th grade, wrote an essay about his father that won a national contest. "My dad is my hero, not because he took a bullet, but because he gets up every day and does his best to take care of me and help other people. Heroes are all around us. Sometimes they wear uniforms and sometimes they carry mops. What matters is what's inside their hearts." Principal Hayes never returned to education. The investigation revealed years of discriminatory treatment toward support staff and teachers from working-class backgrounds. Marcus Rivera, the gunman, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. During his trial, he apologized to Jack and Miss Chen, saying their forgiveness had started his journey toward redemption. Jack used some of the donation money to start a scholarship fund for children of school support staff, janitors, cafeteria workers, and bus drivers whose kids deserve the same opportunities as everyone else. "Education belongs to everyone," Jack said at the scholarship ceremony, "no matter what their parents do for a living." 3 years after the shooting, Jack received the National Hero Award from the president. Standing in the White House wearing his best suit, Jack thought about the journey from that terrible Tuesday morning to this incredible moment. "Heroes come in all forms," the president said during the ceremony. "Sometimes they wear uniforms, sometimes they carry briefcases, and sometimes they carry mops. What makes them heroes is their willingness to put others before themselves." Tommy stood beside his father, beaming with pride. In the audience, Miss Chen wiped away tears. The janitor who had once been invisible was now inspiring a nation. Jack began speaking at schools across the country, sharing his story with students. "Don't judge people by their jobs," he would tell young audiences. "Judge them by their character. The person cleaning your school might be the same person who would risk their life to save you." His message resonated everywhere he went. Students started treating custodians, cafeteria workers, and bus drivers with new respect. "Mr. Miller changed how I see people," wrote one 6th grader. "Now I say good morning to our janitor every day. His name is Mr. Carlos, and he's really nice." 2 years later, Jack and Miss Chen, now Dr. Sarah Chen, were married in the gym of Lincoln Elementary School. Tommy served as best man, proud to see his father find happiness again. The wedding was attended by hundreds of students, parents and teachers whose lives Jack had touched. "Dad, are you happy?" Tommy asked during the reception. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Jack replied. "Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things." Sarah had never had children of her own, but she loved Tommy like he was hers. "I gained a son and a hero," she said in her wedding speech. 10 years after taking that bullet, Jack looked back on his journey with gratitude. He was now director of safety for the entire school district. Tommy was a senior in high school, planning to study education in college. "I want to be a teacher like Mom Sarah," Tommy told his father. "But I also want to help kids understand that all jobs have dignity," Jack smiled. That was the real victory, not the awards or recognition, but knowing his son had learned the right lessons. At Lincoln Elementary, there was now a plaque near the main entrance, in honor of Jack Miller, who showed us that heroism isn't about your title, it's about your heart. Every person in this building matters, but Jack's favorite recognition was simpler. Every morning, students would wave and call out, "Good morning, Mr. Jack," just like they always had before anyone knew he was a hero, because the truth was he had always been a hero. It just took 3 seconds of courage for the world to see it, and sometimes, that's all it takes, 3 seconds to change everything. The janitor who took a bullet became the man who changed how a community sees worth. Dignity and heroism, that's the real story. That's the real victory.